to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. The year is 2019, and with just a few months to go before BlizzCon, StarCraft 2 players are fighting to the death over handfuls of qualification spots, WCS points, and money. This is their story. I'm Nathanius, joined by Fear Dragon, prepared to break it down as much as we possibly can so that you, the feeble-minded human, can also understand StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void.
Absolutely. Broke it down as in-depth as I could.
So we've got our second semifinal? Second
semifinals match.
How about that?
Gonna be that PvZ of PtitDrogo versus Reynor.
Yeah, and all the Terrans are out of the chat now, so private battles. Let's have some fun this Saturday.
Oh, no, Nate. They're all there, but they're all talking about how there aren't any Terrans anymore.
No, they're all gone. They're all gone. Once they see that there's none left, and I think this should be a fun little series.
That's true.
We've had a very long broadcast today. We started at 6 in the morning. For us, it is 1:12. And guess what? Someone in the green room was saying they were terrified at the idea of one of our players building those newly buffed carrier arena. And I can't wait to see.
Oh, carriers. Sorry.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought you understood me. We tried to break you for 2 years so you could understand the words coming out of my mouth. Anyway, we're loaded in to Tom Cruise 84. In the bottom left position, spawning as the red Protoss player. He is PtitDrogo.
4th place, WCS Winter EU. And up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have our blue Zerg player. It goes by the name of Reynor. That is very correct. He is the WCS Summer winner, the first player to win a WCS circuit event since Cyril took over the kingdom of StarCraft and declared martial law, saying no one could leave their houses anymore.
So Cyril is like Bane in this scenario. He's got everybody trapped on Gotham, and that would make Drogo, or excuse me, that would make Reynor Batman. Right?
Cyril did in fact raise the bridges, preventing anyone from leaving.
Well, he didn't just raise the bridges; he straight up destroyed them. There really is no way, because nobody actually owns boats or anything. There's no way for anyone to get off.
Yeah, Reynor flew in on the Batmobile, made his way into the city, and then started just blowing up the subway stations.
All the Korean players are region locked into the sewers of Gotham. They can't get out. So.
Too soon. Oh, I'm avoiding the phrase or like the word region lock right now because I'm just not looking forward to everyone being like, oh, we've seen foreigners win GSL versus the world 2 years in a row. Is it time to remove it?
You know, I always was of the mind that the best way to do stuff was to just have more for everybody. You know what I mean? Rather than, you know what I'm saying? You know?
So we should have more maps.
I'm just saying, if your whole extended family has kids now, you get a kids table. You don't make everyone eat at the same table. You know what I mean? Eventually, you don't want to have 7 less than 10-year-olds sitting at the main dinner table with everybody.
I found the solution is just tell the kids to...
Do you really want all the NA players sitting at the table with the Koreans, guys? Is that what you want?
Wow! I'm right here, Nate.
It's okay.
That's offensive.
Self-humiliation. It's actually the best argument that I can make for keeping us separate.
Oh, Lord. All right, we got a Stargate opening here from Drogo. Drogo's a player that has always prided himself in his execution of the early game builds. He opts to just try and think of the builds as not so much this is how I get to X state, but rather this is how I can apply X amount of pressure or X damage. So he oftentimes does get a lot more damage done than a lot of other Protoss players will, and that's why he got nicknamed at that one home story cup the Drone Killer. Oh, so long ago.
Did he though? Did he get nicknamed?
He did get nicknamed the Drone Killer. I think by MC actually.
Does anyone call him that?
I think MC called him it.
Okay.
I think
MC's he's a cool guy.
I think the WCS lower thirds for those player intros called him the Drone Killer at one point.
That is fair. That's fair.
We know that those are always on point.
They're always completely accurate. So they said that Zombie Grub was Terran biased, and ever since then I haven't followed any of her stuff because it absolutely disgusts me that someone could prefer one race in StarCraft so much more over the others. And like her name was like I Love Boxer, who is infamously BM, right? Because he typed things in chat other than GLHF and GG, which
that
makes
was a
him,
great
of
story.
course, a sick monster.
Do you know the full story of what he typed?
Yeah. My favorite is that he is held up as a hero, while the same people who really are crazy about Korean StarCraft also think that everyone should wear muzzles all the time.
That doesn't prevent you from typing in chat names.
You know what I mean.
I know. All right, we did have the first Oracle. Second Oracle also came out, but he actually stops there and adds on the Robo for now. Adds on some sentries, is postured in position to try and take a third base. But I'd say it's kind of funny just because we've heard so many memes lately about the 3 Oracle opening, how strong 3 Oracle is, etc., etc. But no, just opting to transition out nice and quickly there as he adds on 4 more gateways before his third.
Yeah, it's a brave new world out there in the StarCraft universe because the whole thing with the Warp Prism, it's going to be a lot harder to do juggle shenanigans. It's still good, of course, and we're still going to see it, but
5 range.
For the Oracles, it was always about the retention. And you know what? I actually cracked the code, okay? People started doing 3 Oracles because people would build the first 2 and they'd lose one, or they'd lose their first one, and they're like, well, 2 Oracles really is the sweet spot. But people only build 3 Oracles because they kept losing just one of them. So now the Protoss players go back into only building 2 Oracles, except they don't suicide them across the map. And lo and behold, you can make your tech transition just a little bit faster.
You know, I actually agree with you, but I am really looking forward to hearing all the Protoss players that are like, no, Nate, it wasn't that simple. We just got better.
There are really funny things when you look at unit-wise, like the success rate of Protoss when they don't lose one of those Oracles at the start of the game. It's astronomically higher. Like when I watch Protoss players make these similar types of pushes all the time, the one thing that always makes it stand out is you've got, of course, the ability to defend back home. But if he tries to jump on top of this army and the Oracles roll up and try to help with this push at all, it usually has a devastating effect in terms of how useful it is.
By the way, this is a very scary push in over here. Nice Force Field actually locking the Ravager and another one of these Roaches. Even though the Force Field does get knocked down eventually and the rest expire, he still has managed to snag some really high value units. The Zealots kind of run ahead by themselves though. The Queens do get picked off and the Force Fields are starting to run thin. PtitDrogo might need to start thinking about a recall soon.
Yeah, lack of Zealots really hurts. I mean, this is one of those scenarios where you're like, charge would be nice, but you basically said, I'm going to build a bunch of gateway units and just try to kill you. And that's not really how it works. You know what might have been useful during that whole fight? 2 Oracles. But those, rightly so, were left at home to defend. So Drogo, at the end of the day, ends up with a really nice economic spot. However, he's got to hold the door, literally, because those slow zones are currently going to be the gates to his base.
Yeah, and there is a bit of a problem in the sense that even though the Warp Prism did survive, there's actually no Immortals out right now. It's just the Stalkers. So this is kind of a nice way to try and buy time. He is going to try and go for this Warp in the main base, and you actually see on the minimap, Reynor pulls back his whole main army. He had those Lings on the counterattack somewhere, but the main army is actually coming all the way home, so Drogo has time to get out those Immortals now.
Well, we'd really like to grab this Ravager for a Zealot or 2. It would be a pretty sweet trade. So he's going to drop these back into the third base. Mineral line on his way out.
Yeah, unfortunately, slow Zealots don't really catch up with drones very quickly.
No. The chargeless build. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
There's a joke somewhere there about paying for it. Paying for not having charge. Because charges is another word for paying for something.
Is it?
Yeah. They charge you for your mocha almond latte.
Enlightening. Actually, I got a skinny vanilla today.
You did get a skinny vanilla, that's true.
Skinny vanilla. Only on work days, though. Every other day, it's just black coffee. I treat myself when I've got to talk about StarCraft for 10 hours. Whoop. Lings get a shield battery.
A little annoying there. Oracle's still finding a little bits and pieces of damage, though.
It's so low. He goes to the slow zone.
gives me anxiety.
Lurker Den is on the way, though. And finally, as kind of a weird of an opening as we've had, with Drogo going for the attack, that kind of got some damage done, forced out a lot of units, but he lost so much in the process. With finally going into a more normal situation where we got the Temple Archives finishing up, Archons being added on, Charge finishing, Zerg player getting their transition set up into Lurkers. And it is going to be about Drogo trying to find this little window before the Lurkers pop out to try and get something done.
Yeah, but this, no, that's not doing anything. The Prism's the big boy here for the Protoss player. It's nice because you have Charged Zealots now, and they are extremely powerful. They're very useful, and that's the threat you always want to be able to pose. Ooh, that Queen. Uh-oh.
Charge.
It's funny because the Queen walking away is actually what procs the charge, and then the 8 damage is done for free there on top of it.
Do you not do charge at point blank?
I don't believe they'll cast charge if they're in melee, if they're in range of a unit. I do not believe they will charge.
You can manually cast it though, right?
I actually
Is that
think
an extra micro technique?
I think there needs to be a little bit of space. I could be wrong, but if I recall,
it's amazing how complex of a game StarCraft is. And speaking of complex, this is a complex engagement because Drogo, even though
complex when Archons die,
it is a complex breakdown.
That is true. That is true.
One of the oracles gets picked off. The second oracle.
Got so much energy.
Oh my God, Revelation! No. Shouldn't Reynor be screaming that?
No.
I thought he was
Reynor
Batman.
wants to marry an alien after she committed, she murdered 3 billion people. Okay,
Did we watch the same Batman movie?
Reynor.
Okay. We're going to see the Lurkers taken out very, very quickly here.
Oh, I thought you meant Jim Reynor. I was very confused
no.
there. I was like, Jim Reynor, he doesn't care.
Did you forget who we were casting, Nate?
Yes, I did.
The Roach Run-By is going to actually cast some of these Zealots that are getting warped in, but that is a lot of charge lots, and with a few more coming in, should be able to deal with those Roaches. This attack is also finding these Hydras without a whole lot of defenses at the front, but finally some of the Lings are coming forward. Archon's trying to take care of those. Queen's also pushing this army back, and it seems like Drogo's gonna have to back off.
Lack of a reinforcement point here. This is not necessary. This on its own is not bad, but without reinforcements, it's quite weak.
Yeah.
You have powerful units because the fodder did a great job of being fodder, but when the fodder was dead, there was no this wave of Zealots came so much more slowly. If he had had a Prism here, it could have been so devastatingly important and impacted stuff like that, right? When it comes down to money. Yep. Those war Prisms, they ain't cheap.
Yeah, I mean, those Zealots were the units that were defending against the Roach Run-By, so they just ran across the map, and we actually have another large group of Zealots, I think, running straight across the map and finally joining the fray.
That is also something that will delay your reinforcements, by the way. Not to give too much rap to Drogo. He's trying to defend the counters that Reynor is so famous for. Now, there is an Overseer, and getting that Sieged Observer would be a hot button item, but good control. Very good control from Drogo.
Yep, keeping those alive and also pushing back those Hydras, taking out all the Lurkers. He's almost got the hatchery. He's going to just right-click it down with these Zealots and the Immortals. War Prism does go down. Another one of the Immortals goes down. The Hydra's target firing down each one of these individual Immortals. Remember, the Reynor still has 2 other new fresh bases. The 3rd and the 4th base still now up here.
I would love to see a Dark Shrine squeezed in if he can hold this attack. Because these are going to be the moments where suddenly those Overseers become big, juicy targets.
There it is. There it is.
Look at that. Ha! Naysayers.
Nate Sayers, yeah, because you just said that.
I have some game sense, baby rage.
Here you go. We do have +2 weapons so close to finishing up, and that's going to help out a lot of the defense here if Reynor decides to commit. But Reynor's army isn't honestly looking that large anymore. I do like that he's backing off.
No. That's why I was saying, because this game is starting to get into scrappy tier. And the scrappier the game is, the better, what is it? The scrappier a game is, the better mutas, DTs, and Widow Mines become. Yeah, it's like those units that are they're like your clutch units, you know? For Zerg, it can vary based on their composition. Like the Lurkers can obviously become really big, but there's just some units where it's having a handful of this, having a few of these available to you when everything is just chaos all over the map is really nice.
Yeah. Another big round of charge lot warp-ins. This is where things start to get a little bit iffy because as the Lurker count starts to grow, when you start getting too many charge lot warp-ins and big Archon warp-ins, you don't have a lot of those Immortals alive anymore. engagements can start getting a bit one-sided as you start to see those charge loss just get torn to shreds by the lurkers.
Yeah, and you got to be careful because your micro is not going to be the same as it has been before. You do need to be worried about the range that you can pick those Archons up from, and a lot of them are very low on shields, so
yep,
going to need to evacuate the dance floor.
He's gonna be able to get out of there alive with the majority of the Archons. The War Prism also still sitting alive, and he did manage to snipe off that base, but it was costly, and this is what's gonna make it all worthwhile. Pulling the army.
Chaos, man. DT's already generating some nice value. I'd say even just a few drones is enough. The distraction is big, but supply does tell a story, and in this case, it's almost as painful as Scott's Tots. So we really need to see Drogo try and bring this one back. He's got quite the army to unseat from his base, especially since adaptive talents has been researched. His army's going to get kind of getting cornered.
Yeah. I mean, Reynor is going to work right now. He's putting in time in the office, and he's going to be able to find an opportunity to try and eke his way in a little bit closer with some of these lurkers.
Good Oracle Revelation. One of the lurkers that's just coming won't be revealed, but I don't think he has enough to actually get on top of this. Like, Archons do not really have that firepower with this. The Immortals, it's unfortunate. GG, well played. And Dr. Reynor takes the first map.
He'd be the youngest doctor that I know, the age of 17.
Yeah, well, he's probably played StarCraft enough, almost enough. What do you think? How many years has he played StarCraft since he was 10? What's the whole story?
10 or 11? I think it was 2012.
So he'll have his PhD when he's 18.
I think it was 2012.
StarCraft.
7 years. I think it's about 7 years. Wait, I
don't know. I usually ask you guys that.
How long does it take to become a doctor? Because I have friends that are becoming doctors, and I'm just like, oh, cool, how's it going? I was like, yeah, X number more years of school, and I'm like, cool.
Think about it this way. If doctors had MMR, and you were in the top
what do you think they
1% of people in medical, like MMR-wise, I think it would be fair to say. So, in my mind, Reynor's a doctor of StarCraft.
He is a doctor of StarCraft, officially. In fact, when he fills out his official forums, there's the drop-down menus on applying for a passport. He should actually select doctor. When they ask him, oh, did you go to school and become a doctor at such a young age? He's like, I'm a doctor of StarCraft. Actually, I'm certified by Dr. Dario himself.
I've been to NA Ladder. I've been to the Europe. Did my residency on the Korean server for a year or two.
I did my residency in Korea.
Yeah.
You just leave it at that. That actually sounds legit.
There you go.
That sounds proper.
There you go.
I'm a fan. We're going to be moving into the next map, which is, I think, usually the map I think of is, oh, this is not a great Reynor map. It's Thunderbird. Just because usually Protoss players can take those nice, easy 3 bases. In fact, I know Drogo specifically really likes doing that wall off right at the 3-base ramp as opposed to over by his natural, which is a bit of a wider thing and sometimes does get abused.
But you know what's more interesting than abusing maps and strategy? Cosmetics in-game. The new war chest is out, ladies and gentlemen, and you can get skins, including this great new Adept skin. And make sure you play and watch. But you know what? Are you busy? Are you watching football all day and eating chicken wings? That's fine, because if you have StarCraft open and you link your Battle.net account to your Twitch account, you can unlock your war chest phases without even turning the game on. Is it fair? No, but we give it to you anyway because we love you, the
people. Are you saying right over there, there's a button that you can just click and says earn experience just like that from watching the StarCraft?
Yeah.
That's actually amazing.
Isn't the future incredible?
You know what's actually amazing to me is you don't even have to do that much. I think I unlocked my entire war chest by watching StarCraft for a day.
Well, yeah, I cast that Twitch Rival show that we did last week when it started.
And you just kept hitting the...
Yeah. Well, I just had it open on my phone. You can do it on your phone, too. The little chest icon thingy next to chat, you have to be logged in on your phone, of course.
Wait a second. Is there a Twitch Rivals event every time there's a new war chest? Because that happened last time.
Have you not pieced it together?
No, I haven't. And I've literally worked the Twitch Rivals event with you.
The Illuminati hides a lot of stuff.
So I'm like, wait a second.
We didn't try to pull the wool over your eyes on that one.
I was like, I distinctly remember you doing that whole war chest thing during the last Twitch Rivals event. I
got all my skins just from that. I got all my skins just literally watching myself cast.
I got my skin from my parents.
That's a tragedy of God. It's a tragedy of StarCraft. You know, I'm missing one of the banners from watching enough during BlizzCon last year.
Dude, me too.
Because
Are you missing the microphone emote?
I'm missing the
Oh.
Marauder banner. Like I just
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. Like I was there and I was watching and I was casting and I just didn't get it and I was very
Me
sad.
too.
Because I'm like, well, my phone wasn't watching it literally the whole entire.
I was like,
It's a struggle.
I was there in person.
You guys think being a StarCraft caster is great. I am missing in-game items because I could not load. Like if I'm in a foreign country and I can't load Twitch, like I just can't watch the stream while I'm there, and that's it. I just don't get the drop because I'm here working on it instead.
That's when you call up your mom and you're like, hey mom, I need you to do something for me.
I need to get a golden retriever and train it to watch all the broadcasts I'm on with my own account.
Do you think a golden retriever would be the best pet to do that?
Of course.
Well, there's not another better pet
No.
to go press keyboard things and.
Have any other pets been like played basketball or football in movies?
That's
No.
true. That's
There you
true.
go.
What was his
Checkmate.
name? What was his name again?
His name was Bud.
Bud.
His name was Bud.
Airbud.
Right.
Airbud.
See, it's be E-Bud now.
That was such a great movie.
He's E-Bud now, okay?
Bud.
He's gonna be cast in BlizzCon.
Dude, I cannot
That's
wait.
a dream.
I cannot wait for the E-Bud movie where they bring him back for the new age audience and he's playing esports.
Yes, it's going to happen. You joke.
He'll probably be playing a team game though. He'll be playing like World of Warcraft Arena or something.
The entertainment industry is adjusting towards nostalgia in the last 2 years very heavily. I'm just saying.
This is very true.
We will get there eventually. It's a Stargate opening, and as you pointed out, Thunderbird. You can wall off that big old ramp rather than putting a weak, measly beta wall in front of your natural. You can just wall off the whole damn thing as the Overlord is going to receive an unfortunate dosage of laser beams.
Yeah, actually 2 at a time.
Now, Fear Dragon, the Stalker animation shows 2 lasers come out when it shoots, but why does the Stalker's attack not get split in half? Why would
Well,
they,
the lasers
why would they do
rejoin
that?
at the front.
The lasers rejoin
Look at
right
it.
before they hit?
They rejoin right before they hit.
You know, I'll
And
accept
sometimes when you look really closely and it doesn't look like that, it's actually rejoining within the body of the thing that they are hitting.
that. Okay, now I've got a migraine.
Okay. We do have that first Oracle on the way, but it's after the Phoenix first. So this is a little bit of a mix-up. He didn't go for any Phoenix in the last game.
Yeah. Well, that Phoenix in this new skin. See, that kind of looks like a Viking. Except
That looks like a Viking. You know, I've been with you on most of them. I've been with you on most of them.
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Mecha Viking skin. The one that made the Viking really sleek with the pointed wings. That's
Okay, I'm starting to see it a little bit more.
I'm not saying it looks
Yeah.
like it. I'm just saying, okay, it's similar. And I should rephrase it.
Okay,
It looks
that's
a
fair.
little bit more similar
That's fair.
to the Mecha
That's
Viking.
fair. Because when you say like the Oracle skin looks like a Phoenix, I'm like, yeah. Do you see those wings? The wings on that Oracle? I'm like, that looks like there's a Phoenix underneath it.
When you've seen the face of death, you never mistake it for anything else. So, Oracle's used to 2-shot Marines and SCVs, and I'm still emotionally damaged by that.
You know, there's a version of the mono battle map where they still do. It's like a broken version where the Oracle.
There's a lot of broken versions of maps. The way that dependencies, I don't actually know how they work, but some things just work every time there's a patch, and I'm like, the devs are either so on top of this, or I do not understand whatever dark voodoo magic is necessary. Fleet Bacon! Where's Katz? Katz is in the back. He's like,
Lord.
young Nathaniel, I was worried this would happen.
Double Stargate, Fleet Beacon.
But
All right,
got the
so-
carrier buff back, so Protoss, I mean, we're
So-
about to find out if Protoss has a late game against Zerg. And
A reminder of what the carrier buff was,
yes.
Nathanius.
The carrier now
Interceptors.
builds interceptors 2 seconds
2
faster.
seconds out of 11. Which
is
you may
it's
say,
significant.
is it though?
Yes.
So here's the thing. I've heard both ends of this.
It's
I've
more
heard
than 10% change.
Okay. I'll wait and reserve judgment because I have not seen this in action.
Can I have a 10% build time buff on Marines, if that's not a big deal? Think about it.
So here's the
What if
difference.
Widowmine's cooled down 10% faster?
Here's the difference here, is that you aren't capped out on the max number of Marines you can make.
Are you not capped out on the max number of carriers? that you can
I'm
make?
pretty every carrier. No, but the carrier doesn't build faster.
The interceptors don't all die at the same time. Some of them will die at the start of the fight, then the production cycle begins, and then some will die on others. I'm just saying. If it came down to getting a few extra hits in, then it would matter.
Okay.
If it came down to that one carrier having an extra couple of shots, it would be a big deal.
I'm reserving judgment, and clearly PtitDrogo sides with you, so I'm ready to have my eyes illuminated.
Carriers have 2 armor by default, as do Tempests, and the #1 unit for killing all of those units. Much like the battlecruiser, the carrier has something in common with it, in that they are really bad at killing themselves. Knurling a carrier to have it attack another carrier does not do a whole lot for you. So, and I did a good amount of testing. The battlecruiser is still way better than the carrier when it comes to fighting versus infested Terrans. But carriers can actually retreat now, is how I'll phrase it, from infested Terrans a little bit more effectively.
This I am totally on board with you, and I think that is the big change. What a lot of Protoss players do feel like carriers maybe a little bit better. Even the Tempests actually have some armor that can be useful against those infested Terrans, since originally infested Terrans were ignoring the armor, and it was that bug that got passed.
And that's the thing. You don't even, it's not even like, oh yeah, now you need to get armor for the carriers. Most players focus on attack upgrades for air. But the nice thing about it is that you're just going to take a few less damage.
Ooh, that's a good carrier skin.
You're just going to take less damage now.
So Carrier's going to try and take out these locusts as quickly as possible. It looks like some of the gateway units are getting taken out over any workers.
Saved the Forge, which is really nice.
Oh yeah, actually it was a Forge gate folks fired down.
Oh, you know what? Oracle did a great job at microwaving the first one, but tragically, the Oracle does not have infinite energy. There is no bandana for StarCraft.
That's going to buy enough time that he can just get the carriers over there and probably deal with the locust wave, same as he did the first one.
What does that carrier remind me of? That looks like an actual like sci-fi spaceship now. That's what I'm going to say.
It literally is a sci-fi spaceship.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
A different sci-fi spaceship?
It looks like it's made of metal and not like whatever weird Protoss stuff is. Because you know Protoss buildings and
Solarium or whatever?
Looks like it's made of steel. I don't know. Honestly, it looks like something that humans would make, not Protoss.
It looks like something Amon would make.
It looks like something people would make, not Protoss.
Actually, you know what? You're right, because I do feel just because there's
some human architectural vibes there.
Yeah, there's like a steel girder kind of on the top side.
Yes, exactly.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I'm backing you up.
There's a little bit of Brooklyn Bridge in there, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a bridge on either side. Doesn't look like anyone can go and live in there or anything.
Well,
12 Corruptors on the way, though, and we did see double Spire, so I believe that Reynor's thinking about getting some of those air upgrades, and there's the +1 weapons. So
that is going to be really nice, because you know, things that have armor are where they rock and roll, and he's going to kill.
Whoop.
Wow!
Oh God,
that's a big oof. I thought he was going to at least be able to cut the Swarm Host retreat path off, but big Ling run by. Well, the Swarm Hosts hit, and he did finish the first upgrade out of the Forge, but I do not believe he's going to get the second.
No. Carriers do not kill the Locust quite quickly enough, but that carrier count is growing and growing and growing. He's up to from 8, and actually he's halted production now.
Yeah, I think the Vipers are probably still going to be like a big potential threat, but he's not going for him. He's just building Corruptors at the moment. The one carrier that was over there by itself, not going to do too well on its own.
It doesn't have anything to fear from the enemy, but it is definitely going to have a little hard time killing off the Nice Worms just by itself. Yeah. But at least now the Swarmos don't have a retreat path for a little bit.
So that's nice. He tries to actually go over there and ends up running into the carriers and this Phoenix. But in a situation where you're like kind of slowly trickling a few out, like just getting that one extra interceptor back a little bit faster is going to help kill these units off a little bit faster and not save your Nexus anyway.
Yeah, you know, right now, Nate, normally, I should say, I'm a big believer in just the damage output of carriers, but I feel like so far this game has just been me saying, carriers really don't do damage as fast as I thought they did.
No, the real thing is people just didn't understand.
People just don't understand. Aren't out yet.
People are used to what they see and not why what they see looks the way that it does.
Yeah.
And that was always Graviton Catapult.
Yeah.
As soon as one of the balance guys, when they announced the changes, was like, yeah, we found out that the burst damage impact of Graviton Catapult was like 200 per carrier. And I'm like, well, when you have 8 carriers and you're doing 1,600 damage, you know, like,
Yeah. Carriers
or
are better.
60 damage on your first volley, you know? It's like,
Carriers do better in an elongated fight, but man, the Corruptor count is almost high enough to one-shot those carriers. Snipes off 2 of them very, very quickly. Comes back in for the 3rd and 4th.
Archons.
Lightning blast.
Okay, those Archons massacred the Corruptors.
Unit with low health. Unit with low health. Get loud, crowd.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is not looking so good anymore for Reynor.
Guess who's back? Back.
Does he have any anti-air left over besides the Corruptors he's making? No, he has 1 queen.
I will take your apology in the form of another skinny vanilla latte.
If you join me for drinks afterwards, I will give you that skinny vanilla latte.
I've got to watch sports ball tonight, so.
Nitostorm's gonna get taken out, and the Corruptors are dying as they appear. So I think this is the time that we say Drogo's probably celebrating. Drogo.
This is where Rotterdam comes out to say, not bad, but still super dead.
GG. PtitDrogo tying up the series 1-1. Is that a build? Is that a style you can go for
You used
every
to be
game?
able to do it all the time.
Yeah.
I think if your opponent's going to attack you a lot, it has the same weakness to that you would have against BCs, where if you want to be a brawler and have swarm hosts and lings or ravagers or roaches or whatever flying around, that's fine. That's going to take a lot of your supply cap. You have to have corruptors. So if you have swarm hosts and corruptors and roaches and ravagers, there is no room on your plate for dessert, Fear Dragon. There is no tier 3 supply available. You could maybe squeeze in a few infestors, not going to be enough. You could maybe get a few vipers. But when you don't have enough corruptors to win a fight, it doesn't really matter anymore.
All right. Moving into game number 3. It's tied up 1-1, and the map is going to be King's Cove.
Nice. Another great map to turtle up on 3 bases, build carriers. I was waiting for this patch because I've lied before. I've talked about enjoying playing Protoss. But the truth of the matter is, I was just a carrier spammer like most of you. And it was really fun being in Masters League and not really knowing what I was doing. But tragically, the last patch made it so that, well, people just build corruptors and kill you. And now I'm really excited at the prospect of that not being the case anymore. So, oh yeah, or infested Terrans. The worst was when they just drop 80 infested Terrans like on your army. And you're like, well, I researched +3 armor and everything's dead. But the attack speed change as well is huge.
Yeah. No, it's just in general easier to deal with a lot of the infested Terrans now, which I think is why we're seeing a lot more energy spent on fungal growths lately.
Yes. Well, I mean, as we saw earlier, fungal growth does prevent like battle cruisers from teleporting away, prevents units like stalkers from blinking, but it's also going to make it a little bit easier to pick off those carriers too, especially since the cooldown to open the Bifrost has been greatly increased in the most recent patch.
Yes, that
which has been
recall,
super fun.
for those who are wondering what he's talking about.
Yes, building battle cruisers versus Protoss has never been more fun because they have an extra almost 40 seconds between recalls.
Ah, yes, I've seen some Juggernaut Jason games where he's talked a lot about that.
Yeah. It was a pretty big deal, considering that the recall cooldown used to be just like 10 seconds longer than tactical jump, and now it's almost a whole minute. So you really can punish the Protoss players these days.
Yeah, you can look for those opportunities now. But all right, tied up series 1-1. King's Cove, you were talking about how easy 3 bases to take on this map. That is a very early drone being sent out, by the way.
Yeah, this could be the.
Is this
They'll finally be the big one.
Is this going to be the meme?
Katz is in the back room. We don't know what he's been doing during that first game. It's possible that he slid into Reynor's DMs and he's like, hey, buddy, I'm just saying. Proxy hatch here, proxy hatch there. No one's going to know.
Is it? Or is it just blocking the Nexus?
Well, that's just really annoying.
Yep, he's got the 300 minerals. There's the Nexus block.
Don't do it. Oh, my God.
Bada bing, bada boom. What you gonna do?
What comes after? What is he going to do next?
I feel like most of the time it is just a bit more macro, and then it'll maybe lead into an all-in, but it's kind of going into like a normal game for the next like 3-4 minutes. More often than not. If you grab your own natural, I mean.
I love watching probes tase the hatchery. Probes have a funny interaction with large structures because, you know, their range is melee, right?
Yeah.
But this clearly shows their tasers can go quite a bit further than directly in front of them.
That's what I'm saying. It's all the lasers for Protoss actually go to the core center.
Yeah.
whatever they're attacking.
Now imagine, see the probe on the top? Like he's really getting some distance on his. Imagine if probes had that range. I would be okay with that if you gave SCV 60 health.
Would you really?
Why not diversify workers more?
Yeah, but 60 health, but a probe has like 4 range?
That looks like it's
Think about
it looks
that.
Like it's 2 range.
I can attack units over a wall now.
It looks like it has 2 range.
While I am cannon rushing from behind a wall.
I didn't say that it would be balanced.
Okay.
I just said it would be fun.
That I agree with. I would enjoy that. It would be fun.
That misunderstanding is why people don't like me, Fear Dragon. Because I just want StarCraft to be fun. I don't really care who's winning or losing.
Well, it's funny because I also enjoy. But I will actually no. I send out balance things to trigger people. You say it because you actually think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the drone should not die anytime in the near future, but important thing, Drogo did actually manage to grab a second gas geyser, which is actually oftentimes one of the immediate targets for that drone after the cancel on the proxy hatch. They go over to your main base to steal your second gas geyser, your natural's been delayed, so you're just gas starved for a while. So Drogo already manages to deal with a lot of the normal shenaniganry of the proxy hatch.
Okay, Fear Dragon, it's time. How much does a carrier cost? Do you know?
350, 200?
Something. It is something like that. How much does a nuke cost?
100, 100?
Why not let carriers, only if they have no interceptors, why not let a carrier go full Tassadar on a Zerg base? What if you don't even need to give it nuke damage? Like 100 damage to a small spot, right? People would make use of it. There would be at least one game that happens eventually that would be the sickest thing ever where a guy won by crashing his carrier into like the final Zerg building. Would that not be the coolest thing?
That would be
Lore-wise, it fits. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it'd be balanced at all. But
could anyone do that, though, or was it just Tassadar?
Do you really think only one guy knew how to drive the ship down towards the ground?
Well, Tassadar was the fusion. He was like the unique Templar that learned how to utilize both the High Templar and the Dark Templar energies. And that's what was very unique, right? That was him.
Yeah.
That was his big thing.
That power is necessary to crash your carrier into the ground?
Well, he didn't just crash it. He remember he walks in the cinematic over to the core of the carrier and does this whole thing. And
So
he
nobody else could have just unplugged the microwave before it blew up.
All right, you're really oversimplifying. High technology Protoss.
I'm just saying, it doesn't look like it was complicated. It looks like he broke it and then crashed it. I'm just saying. Overlord's gonna scout the Dark Shrine, so.
Wait, how many? This is 3 gate? Oh, this is the 3 gate.
Yeah, this is like a little cheeky strategy.
Yeah, we've been seeing more and more of this kind of stuff lately. It does hit a little bit faster, and we're gonna see, since Reynor should be pretty prepared for it. He's already starting up his spore crawlers.
Yeah. The community has been aflood with the discussions around Terran players and Reaper cliffs and the new maps, but honestly, I'm just so excited to look through and just see some. I haven't had Zerg Salt in a long time, and I'm waiting for it off. If we see more carriers, I want it.
We got the 6 gates out now, Nate. 6 gates and a Dark Shrine. I'm feeling the aggression.
He's got a lot of lings out, yeah, but I mean, the Archons can do a lot to that. Of course, this is one of those strategies that is pretty heavily affected by the recent patch. The Warp Prism needs to stay closer to the Archons in order to be able to pick them up.
A Queen, if the Warp Prism can pick up an Archon and the Archon can attack the Queen can hit the Warp Prism.
Yep.
Because the Queen has 1 additional range over the Warp Prism pickup plus the Archon range.
Yep.
Ooh, this is actually getting some big damage done. The Cybernex core is going to go down. The DTs might hold the wall, but that wall is going to become a lot wider in a moment.
Yep.
Oh, he doesn't actually decide to run in.
I like that. He's like, you know what? I'll return, bruh. You're on 2 bases. I'm not worried about none.
That's fair. Cybernex core is going to get remade. 2 more gateways being added on, bringing them up to a total of 9.
Oh no, there's an overseer here.
Oh boy.
Chat, boys.
Okay, well that's gonna hurt. But there are 9 gateways. He's super all in.
The Warp Prism just died, or did he recall it? I think
he recalled it.
Okay, it was no,
not dead.
it's still out on the map.
Oh,
he lost
okay.
something in the mineral line. I think it was one of the Archons.
I must have lost both of them.
I don't know.
There's no Archons in that
Something.
War Prism.
There was something there. Okay, now the Archons are back. I think he dropped the Archons off, recalled them, and then he warped something else in that.
Ah, okay.
Canceled that Cyber Core, or killed it again, by the way. So, if you wanted to switch tech, he couldn't. He can't. I guess he has a lot on the table, but I'm still thinking about Stargates. So,
well, at this point, he never really got. I mean, he got up at Twilight Council, but he didn't start charge or anything. Yeah, so now he starts charge. I was gonna say, if you're gonna be on 2 base and you're going you're on 9 gateways, you're pretty much all in at this point.
I'll try charge. That's a good try.
Yeah. This is definitely getting really, really rough for PtitDrogo. Granted, Reynor didn't exactly go ham on drones very early on, so maybe there's something there. But I do feel like Zerg players are usually a little bit
How
more okay with this.
serendipitous, by the way, that right as the Spore is going to be moved, that's when the Prism comes in. I think you want to use the Bifrost to save the Archons, but still on cooldown, the patch! Oh, there's no save. Nope. Yahoo! Okay, I did not think he would be able to grab that one Archon.
Yeah, I think the Queen was a little too far behind the Spore.
I looked at the Nexus, I'm like, it should be off cooldown, and it would have been on the old patch, but not now.
Nope.
There was no option to recall there.
What is it, 136 seconds or something now?
Yep.
Oh, that recall does take a while now. But all right, more DTs getting warped in, more Archons being morphed in, and no signs of any other major tech. And let me tell you something, Nate. Dark Shrine, really, really fun kind of tech structure to get some early damage done, maybe do some late game harassment, and you make a couple of Archons here and there. It's not a like long-term solution tech play. Now, this comes from the guy who just makes DTs.
It is useful to have at all points in the game.
It's useful, but I'm saying to just have a Dark Shrine. To not have a Temple Archives or a Robo Bay and be making a bunch of Immortals or anything. To literally just go Dark Shrine.
He does have Immortals.
But he has a few Immortals now.
He has one Robo Bay. I was looking for another tech as well, though, because he's just going to have the naked Robo for a bit. But if he wants to try and Zealot Immortal Archon his way through Roach Ravager, I mean, he's more than welcome to try.
This is definitely going to be a bit tough. He loses a couple of the Zealots that run forward, and there's a Roach run by from Reynor. Doesn't even need the Lings to make these run bys happen. He's doing them with Roaches now.
Forget Reynor's Raiders. It's all about Reynor's Roaches now.
Hatchery is getting fairly low on hit points, and hey, those are some nice force fields. He locks in a lot of the Ravagers, he locks in some of the Queens, but unfortunately, that is a lot of Roach supply, Nate.
Poke the bear, and sometimes then the bear's going to come after you. You got to be careful.
The bear does poke back. Archons are doing a good job of staying alive.
Oh my god! You just sent 10 drones into a blender!
Okay, that was less than ideal.
We just answered the question of, will they blend?
Not a question that I wanted answered, but okay.
Eh?
Archons. Ooh, gets a lot of the sentries there. At least kills off one of them. The other two are very low on hit points. A couple more force fields being made available thanks to the War Prism. And I do like that Drogo has kept the War Prism far enough back that he's not really worried about the Ravager Corrosive Biles killing it. He's backing up. Was that enough damage to kill the fourth and he kill off 14 drones?
I mean, that was pretty sick, honestly. Like, Reynor definitely wants to go on the other side of the map and do something.
Yeah.
So this is the opportunity now, like whether Drogo gets the Zealots in somehow or he gets the most gnarly engagement here. Like, there's definitely opportunity. Like, cutting the Zerg back down to 3 bases is massive. Being on even bases is always going to be nice. And at this point, you want to hold the attack, move, and then take your 4th, probably. Unless he overextends, in which case then you just counter all in, and then everyone says that you only won because of your race.
That escalated quickly. Zealot is going to run in, and it's going to actually scout out these Lurkers. So knowing that those are available, we're going to see probably a lot more Immortals being made over here for Drogo. Oh, losing the Prism sucks.
Prism had a good run, though. He was very low on health at the start of the game. Somehow DT slipped in anyway by DT-dubs.
Okay. Getting a lot of drone damage.
Hi, it's me, or DT.
Reynor's finally noticed now. 14 workers going down, and the recall comes out. Nice save.
Yeah, now that was... You say it's 14 drones a lot, and then I say, well, what happens if you get it another time? That feels pretty good, man. Feels pretty good.
All right, here comes the Archon move out here from PtitDrogo is going to actually run straight past the Roaches and Ravagers.
Now see, this is where that DT recall becomes interesting, because if he does counterattack in a big way, you start to ask yourself, with a over 2 minute cooldown, is it worth it to recall one DT if you might need to bring some of this army back?
I'm a little bit worried for Reynor not being able to get his units back into his base, though, and there we end up seeing Ravagers, so many of them being caught, but now Drogo has to try and find his way to move up the ramp. That is an awkward angle, but it's just the lurkers there.
Yeah, you're not moving up a ramp into 5 lurkers. Forget about it.
Yeah, just go to the 4th base and deny that. A lot of drones just transferred there. You see the force fields trying to lock down that area. No corrosive biles being used to knock down those force fields either.
There's a DT, there's cheeky DT mixed in here. Right click on that overseer with the Archons.
Okay, well, 4th base goes down. Drones are going to have a hard time escaping out of there, and they do barely manage to find an opportunity to.
Literally slip by.
Yeah. Ravager corrosive biles, I mean, a lot of them have been missing, but the lurkers are enough to push this back.
Lost the observer, yeah, so. Put an end to the move out here.
I don't think he's making another one either. He's just making more immortals.
He's only got 1 robo, right? That's gonna hamstring it a little bit. Yeah,
slightly concerning.
As soon as I say that, he starts the second one. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Drogo. You're making me look smart today, and I really appreciate that. Because I don't really get it done myself.
Okay, well, you were right, though. He can't really continue to push in at all until the lurkers are at least detected.
He didn't go for Stargate this game either, which is another reason why a lot of Protoss open with it, because you can still have it in your pocket for Revelation, which, if you can land the Revelation, is obviously going to be better than an Observer, because the Zerg cannot run away from it.
Yep.
Or you know, focus fire it down.
Yeah. That is a very frustrating thing to have happen when you feel like you have 4 or 5 observers and they all just get focus fired down.
Do you think that's like, is he like T-posing on him when he goes and sieges his overseer and is natural like that? Like right in his face?
T-posing?
Yeah, I think that's the Zerg equivalent. You just go siege all your overseers on someone. I had a Zerg do that to me. I didn't realize how frustrating it would be until it happened. And I was like, wow.
I don't know if I would consider
siege the overseers and unsiege them? That's how you dance as a Zerg.
I just assume that they misclicked. No?
The siege hotkeys
I'm more
optimistic. As
optimistic.
F2 Fear Dragon.
I'm more optimistic. When someone manor mules me, I usually just think, oh, haha, they accidentally meant to scan and they threw down a mule. That's really sucks for them.
You're too wholesome for this world.
I think the best of people.
3 Archons down the toilet, and not in the fun way.
Yeah, casual 900 gas going down. Drogo's really going to have a hard time pushing into this.
You need to go air. There's going to be too many lurkers. I don't know how he's going to break through this.
That or you need like the sickest spread out of these immortals and charge lots to also soak up a lot of the initial lurker hits. It's a really tough fight.
He's going for it.
Oh,
there's the storms.
Yeah, he kills off the south flank of those lurkers.
The zealots are all gone. There is actually such a thing as too many immortals.
The lurkers are kind of spread out, so there is a chance here for these immortals to get some damage done.
Oh, the DT got in on the backside to get a little assassination in.
Still needs to clean up a couple more of these lurkers. He's got one more immortal.
The next wave of units should still be able to get rid of this.
What next wave of units?
Oh, the ones coming out from the Zerg, I meant. They clean it up. Yeah, he cleans it up, and Drogo's like, well, I don't really have a plan to transition, and there's 7 more lurkers on the way, so I think I'll die now.
No, he's gonna take a 4th base first. Then he'll die.
How is he gonna defend this? He does have a storm. Drops it on some leads.
He has a few storms, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Nearly has some other storms. There it is.
He did a High Templar Warp during all that. I still don't know how he's gonna dislodge 8 lurkers off of his.
Yeah, that might be a bit of a problem. Making 2 more observers.
He's got 1 immortal.
Well, you know what I've heard from a Zerg player that if you have exactly 1 immortal and 1 more prism, you can actually take out an infinite amount of supply. So should be okay.
Seems good.
Seems good.
When High Templar are auto-attacking lurkers, that's if anyone wanted to know what anxiety feels like, that's it right there.
Yeah. Drogo put up a good fight in this game, but it has just been so messy, just not necessarily even because, you know, Drogo made a ton of mistakes or anything, but Reynor just getting those counterattacks in, deflecting his initial attack, it's become a really, really difficult spot from the beginning for Drogo.
much like WCS Europe after today, I do believe that for this game, Drogo is done. Reynor has moved up to a 2-1 lead. Build more carriers. Do it. Just go
Build
back
more
to
carriers. Go back into it.
Zerg players are unfamiliar and unpracticed against Tier 3 air without infested terror bombs. I'm going to say it. Those builds work for a reason right now. The game with good BC macro.
My thought is the same sort of things that a Zerg player would, if they knew like double Stargate Phoenix, for example, was coming, and you'd want to try and punish that before the Phoenix count got too high up, the same sort of things would potentially work against that player. But you'd have even more time because you're waiting for carriers, not for a large number.
Oh, I'm not saying he rushes carriers. I'm just saying, like, if he opens at the Dark Shrine.
So not like the last game, not like the first time he went for double Stargate. Go for it a little bit slower, but still go into it.
It was just very piecemeal, right? Because you're up against somebody who's got lurkers, and he was on one robo for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, because he didn't have a Stargate, and this comes back to that as well, is if opening with the Stargate is nice because in that situation, how nice would it be if he could just make an Oracle and double pump Immortals rather than building 2 Observers at a time because he has none. And it just, it's just tough. It was a very tough game. Reynor played that extremely well. He dealt with the harass nicely. There was that push on the 4th and then the 1 DT that got into the main, but those were all relatively down the line.
Yeah.
And he already had the tech. He already had the upgrades. So
it's not quite the same when you get 14 workers worth of damage done at like the 10 or 12 minute mark versus the 5 or 6 minute mark or something. Yeah. It makes a world of difference. But Cyberforce is going to be our next map, and now Reynor 1 game away from getting a rematch with good old Sarah in the grand finals. Yet again, so many times we've seen that match.
There is no way you can play passively enough to try to just like quickly get up to carriers on this map. So that means we're going to see Reynor, I think, in his element. As Drogo, I'm not entirely sure. In these straight-up games, these good straight-up games that we have had, things haven't been looking too good for our boy.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. I do think that PtitDrogo has been one of those players that a lot of people have been describing as like on fire lately. But this is still a really, really tough spot. Reynor is not a player that you want to really be down in games against because he's the kind of guy who will, if you give him a couple of games, he will find those opportunities to sneak in the random Ling run-bys, the Roach run-bys, the harassment. He'll find these little opportunities to punish you. He'll get that cheese game in and sneak in a quick one. You got to be careful against him.
Have you had any good cheese lately, Ravi?
No, I don't really partake in cheese.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you mean in the StarCraft?
Honestly, I was going to accept either.
Okay, well, no, I've been in Korea. I was at GSL versus the World for the past 2 weeks, basically. So,
fair enough.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten a lot of time to play.
You know what? Rotterdam wasn't able to play because he was in Korea. But I'm just going to say that he wasn't playing because he has no passion.
That's actually true. He could have just gone to a PC bong.
I assumed he was never coming back, so I unsubbed, unfollowed. I'm like, well, if he doesn't stream for 3 days, he must be dead, right? So there you go.
That's how I see other people behave, so that must be the correct way.
Yeah, so really weird game, by the way.
Yeah.
Super fast pool. Walling off at the front, pylon blocking. And the pylon block, letting it finish. I like it because Zerg player really wants to get across the map. So delaying those bases from being taken it's gonna be a good while.
It's sort of funny to me because Cyberforce is one of the maps as a Protoss player that I'm like, this is such an easy map to wall in on. That ramp is actually fairly small, so you can complete it pretty quickly, and there isn't exactly that much surface area on some of these buildings. So I think the Drogo should be able to get everything up in time. Second Zealot is really going to make things more difficult here for Reynor, because that's when suddenly he actually has to worry about that Zealot continuing to poke away at his Lings.
Yep, and getting that second big. Okay, gets a little bit of surround. That's not the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Ling will be able to get in and scout, but
there's not a lot to scout.
There is nothing to scout.
Yeah.
Now the fun part is if you can get him to pull probes. Okay, well he kills the Ling, and then.
Okay, sent him a little bit far, but it's okay.
They went on a trip, but.
And Drogo's gonna save up for that Nexus now, but because he did decide to go for the double gateway, quick cybercore wall, that does mean he can get out much faster at depths. These Lings are not gonna have Zergling speed, so this is where Drogo can start to make some damage happen, especially with the third or the quote-unquote natural expansion that Reynor decided to take is not actually his natural expansion. It's just third base.
Building quite a few more lings, and Zergling speed has only just started.
I think you have to build the lings.
Oh, I
with these
agree.
adepts at
I
this
agree
point.
completely. It's certainly not ideal.
Yeah. Well, Drogo gets in there a few seconds late to snipe off that creep tumor, but the adepts actually cancel their shade. The lings are going to start trying to move in.
Yeah, I just micro the adepts off creep while the zealot chases the queen. If you kill the queen there, oh my god,
yes.
that's a massive pick off.
And now suddenly these lings are going to have such a hard time chasing after these adepts. The adepts shade forward into the actual natural expansion, ensuring that no drones try and make a base over here. They can sit in that mineral line, recall back home, and say, yeah, we did a good day's work.
Yep. Well done. Baneling Nest is going to start up, and there's more lings on the way. Is Reynor about to... Is he going to actually try this? This is beyond science. He won't do it. No way. I don't
That's
believe
a
it.
hard wall to bust, right?
Yeah.
This-
I
this is
I think about trying to bust that, and I'm like, you a busta, Corey. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that bad of an idea.
This is already a secondary wall.
This is Corey in the house.
Oh.
Bad idea.
Okay, I think Drogo knows, because he's already starting like a wall on both sides now.
Yeah.
He's just making more adepts. Okay, he's gonna shade them forward. He's scouting around.
He's going to commit.
Oracle?
However, 5 banelings isn't enough to break the gateway, and you're not getting in by going through the zealots. So,
Because there's a zealot and an adept unit wall.
and a shield battery as well. Like the banelings all got to hit really close together. Because if that zealot survives, then
Oh, you saw the banelings.
everyone in chat will laugh at you.
And yeah, you just complete the wall at that point. You see the banelings, you're like, all right, I know how this goes.
Oracle's here. The Chad Zealot stands and delivers, and there you go. Oh, imagine if he warped it in
GG.
that little hex in the corner. He could have. I thought about him warping into
Bit
the
of
wall
full
there,
wall.
lock all the lings inside.
All right, well, GG. Drogo gets a pretty easy victory there off of one, just a really quick reaction to the early pool opening,
Yes.
and 2, Reynor, I guess, just really getting thrown off by the adept follow-up.
Oh, Reynor seemed tilted. That was tilt. That was a hate baneling nest. You know what I mean? That wasn't an I want to baneling bust him. That was a screw this game baneling nest.
Yeah. It's one of those fun moments where you have the option of saying, I could just leave now when not that much has actually happened and just be done with it. Or you can say, I'm just going to do whatever all-in I can at this point. And that was the baneling all-in. That was what he went for.
Going for 2 gateways there, really nice. There's no exposed pylon. All he could do was blow up on a zealot, and there was a second layer behind the zealot.
The pylon, the shield battery, the second pylon. Yeah.
That second pylon that he built early on when even the lings came to nibble on the gate, he's like, you know what, worst case scenario, he baits my zealot, but at least my gateways won't be shut down, because if you only have 1 pylon there, then it really is GG. So now it didn't even get past the zealot, except the 1 single ling, but really, like, you know, Drogo's just crossing his T's and dotting his lowercase J's.
Yeah, and you might be thinking, oh, well, what if Reynor had just built up more banelings and waited a little bit? It's like, well, then the oracles are out, and now there's no way you're actually getting anything done.
Yes, then you are super dead. Plus, the fact that the oracle was coming out, like, there was just nothing. Like,
Yeah.
that attack, even if he had gotten through, like, the oracle comes out with those lings, and I don't even think that there were, like, with the battery, he would have been fine, I think, regardless.
Okay, well, interesting series so far, but we're moving on to Acropolis, as Demuslim likes to say.
Yeah, getting ourselves into another long match. I think our lunch arrived at the start of this match, too.
Yes. It always arrives
Right at
when
the
I
start.
move to the desk.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's okay.
Actually, it happened for you as well. It was right when both of us went to the desk.
Yeah, it happened to me both times.
Yeah.
Happened to us both times today.
But even in the
Start the
previous
final map.
seasons,
Yeah.
it always seems to happen when I arrived at the desk.
I'll have a 4-minute break to stuff some cold pizza down my throat.
Haha.
Between this
Well,
and the
it's
finals.
you and Paulo for the finals, so
Eat cats.
I'm gonna have time to just enjoy and listen to you guys.
Yeah, but
Maybe
there's
make some
cheese
memes
on
in the
it,
chat.
so checkmate.
Boom.
All right, final round. And you know what? In the spirit, there's 2 prophecies here. There's the first one where Reynor is supposed to fight Cyril again, and we basically continue the Obi-Wan versus Anakin, you know, storyline or whatever.
Who's Anakin and who's Obi-Wan?
Doesn't really matter. The point being that there's a weird alternate universe now where I think Drogo can. I like his odds on this map a lot more because if he wants to play a little bit more of a passive style or move into big air, this would be the map to do it. Like, I want to see an Oracle opening, and I want him to try and follow up into Fleet Bacon later on. I don't want him to rush it and give, you know, Reynor a chance to just flood him to death. But interesting choice in that assimilator timing, by the way. I don't know if that was an accident. That was a weirdly fast one, and he waited to start mining off of it.
Did he go gas gate?
Yes, he did. He did go gas gate.
Okay, well, you know, Drogo is one of those guys who I think comes up with a lot of really clever builds, but he's also one of those guys that occasionally makes really big mistakes like that.
Well, maybe it was all part of his plan.
And just wait to see. And honestly, I don't even know if when I watch it, it'll be immediately revealed and obvious that it was in fact intentional or a mistake, because he might just adapt around it at this point.
It has happened to me before where I'll like play a TVT and I'm just like, you know, building my SCVs, moving around, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go gas first. And then I'm like, I didn't start a supply depot. And then you just immediately leave the game because you're getting proxy reapered anyway and it doesn't matter if you're gonna lose.
That's when what you do is you actually hide a command center in the corner of the map, but you hide it with the extra workers that you had made, so you're back at 12 workers from when they come in for the scout, and it looks like just an empty base with just a command center. But you've actually gone CC first in the corner of the map.
It doesn't work against cats.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because Cats has already done it to you.
Well, he'll know that there's no expansion because he's already built a hatchery in my natural.
Yeah. Twilight Council first this game from Drogo, which I think he's only opened up with once earlier in this series. He opened it up with, I think, in game number 2, because I think game 1 he went for a really fast robo, if I recall correctly. We'll see where this leads into. Oh no, he went for this in the quick dark shrine game. Haven't really seen too many of the Archon drop things. And there's the robo finally getting started up behind this, as you do usually for either one of those. You want to go into those fast warp prism. Overlord speed on the way, though. Both Reynor and Cyril really love their Overlord speed.
Well, they practically made it free in the last patch, so I'm not surprised. Yeah. Cyril even got his before Ling speed in his ZvT.
All right, so there's the Dark Shrine. I imagine if we're going to see something similar to the previous thing, it's going to be 2 gateways, and that's going to be it.
Dark Shrine.
Well, he's going to go for the 3 gateways, so it probably is going to be the DTs straight into the Archon drop.
Yeah, you want to be able to warp into 4 Dark Templar at once. The Overlord is going to scout this, as we talked about, that speed upgrade coming in nice and smoothly.
Yep, even keeps it alive. But now he should know about the Dark Shrine, so it's up to Drogo on whether or not he feels like Reynor's going to cut corners since he scouted this. Because that's like the fun little mind game. It's like, you've seen my Dark Shrine, so you should be respecting it and getting up all the spores at every one of these bases, or having an Overseer pre-morphed in, but then because you know that I know that you've seen this.
Honestly, I'm still just upset that Overlords have claws with these skins on.
They do?
Yeah. They have claws. They straight up have giant metal blades.
Overlords or Overseers?
Overlords. They have giant metal claws on the front of their little hand thingies. I know.
Great for abducting people. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I guess that's might be how they pick up the Zerg units now.
Oh, you know what? That actually kind of makes sense, almost.
Yeah, like drop Overlords. They should actually get +1 range.
I wish they had big mittens then for picking stuff up rather than that, you know, like a literal hot pickup.
Oh, I love when the Protoss player says, yeah, I'm going to actually test you a little bit. I'm going to actually morph in all my DTs. Oh, I thought for a moment he was thinking about going for the Queen.
You know what? That was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Considering what just happened, that was great.
I mean, 0 losses so far for Drogo, and now he just morphs in the Archons. Warp Prism doesn't have to be too worried. He tries to warp, oh, you know, that was cute. He was going to morph in another DT before the Overseer came by, so he was going to run that in at the same time he was doing the Warp Prism harass.
That would have been a very smart thing to do, but also even smarter to not go through with it when scouted. That Spire, he does not know about that, does he?
Well, Spire is behind the natural.
Oh,
right?
the Adepts. Well, he knows about it now.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna. Where do you feel like that's Spire ends up going into?
Man, the fact that he didn't build a Stargate, now I'm really nervous. Now all I can think about is, all I can think about is him dying a horrible, painful death to Mutalisks. And you know what? I think that's what's gonna happen.
He has seen the Spire. He's making more DTs. He's not. I think if he really felt like it was Mutas.
Didn't Cyril or someone abuse Drogo? Was it Drogo or Showtime where they're like, I'm gonna build Mutas, and then they're like, you're not gonna commit to Mutas. I don't need a Stargate.
Well, that happens to a lot of Protoss players.
Then it actually was a lot of Mutas, and they're like, well, boy, I sure wish I had a Stargate right about now.
Yeah, that actually happens a lot. Oh, recalls the Archons, loses one of the Archons, and loses the War Prism as well. I cannot stress how painful it is that if you don't actually have a Stargate and you're relying on Archons to defend, losing that War Prism is terrible. This is also a lot of DT damage, so I do think this maybe actually starts to pull Drogo a bit back in the game.
I mean, Archons are dummy thick, so they have a really hard time getting around the Protoss space. Double Stargate is on the way. I'd crank that +1 on the Cybernetics core so I could die to roaches,
He didn't make that many Mutas. He only made 6. And he's going back into drones now.
There's always a gut check involved, though. It's like if you don't see it, it's all about seeing the right response. So he will probably adjust whether he were to build more or not, based on whether he would see Stargates with his initial poke.
Yeah, but now he'll see Stargates.
Seeing Stargates, you say to yourself, well, I don't need to build another 10 Mutas. But if he was going to try and defend with Archons, as you pointed out, then I think you're like, lol, spam that T button.
Yeah. And the first Phoenix will be out relatively shortly with only a few of those Mutas out. Once you get up to like 3 to 5 Phoenix, it really does start to feel like you can actually start fighting back, even versus large clumps of Mutas.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice pick off.
Mutts are going to have to back off. Wow, the Guardian Shield to save that probe. You were the chosen one.
Baneling Nest on the way. Follow-up and reaction behind this for Reynor. He's getting ready to move into the next stage of the game. Overseer? It's not the biggest of deals, but you know, there is that Dark Shrine still out on the map.
Don't want to overstay your welcome against the Phoenix, though, because you do know that he had 2 Stargates, so if he canceled one, by the way. Did you see that one was canceled?
I don't think so.
No, he knows. He knows
okay.
One Stargate.
Well, we don't really see too many more Mutas being made. It's just all Roaches and Lings at this point, so. With a few more Phoenix being made, they can still find value, especially against a player that just has Roaches, Ravagers, and Lings. Yeah.
For show. Rip that Stalker, though.
Yeah, it's a little far out there.
I don't see charge lots with this, which makes them moving forward. I'm nervous. Okay, there we go. Warping some results.
Yeah, he definitely has charge research, so there's no reason why he shouldn't. Hallucination. Catching wind of where the Mutas are.
Oh
also
my god.
Scouting information. Okay, that is a big attack. 27 Banes being morphed in.
Give me your best Artosis impression and tell me how many Banelings that is.
That is a moderate number of Banelings.
Thank you.
So many Banelings has to be at least be 50. I don't think you get to call so many Banelings at 27.
Then you scream, I'm Nesty, right?
He doesn't have Baneling speed yet. That storm really hurts.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely is not at so many Banelings now. All right, 7 more on the way, going up to 34 before he starts losing a bunch of these. But Baneling speed is now finished up, and this is where he's going to try and make his move. The Banelings come rolling on in. They get a little bit behind that Archon. A couple more Archons get morphed in because no more storms are available, and it does seem like Reynor is going to be able to bust on in here as he takes out the last of the Immortals.
Yeah,
but the DTs? He needs the Banelings.
Oh, wow.
Still 2 more.
Banelings do a really good job there, but yeah, trying to get the backstab.
But that was the entire army of Drogo, right? That is not a cheap army to replace. The Immortals, the Archons.
The DTs are the anchor in this storm because he has Phoenix. That's really it. There's no Hydras here, so you're basically saying, well, if I could just keep the Overseers off and then the Phoenix killed it, you know, a little Phoenix DT action, but otherwise, like, the rest of the units are just going to have a really hard time making it happen on their own.
Yep. Banelings come rolling on in into the mineral line this time, and they start getting some worker damage done. The pylons, the shield batteries get taken out, and this time I don't see any more DTs.
I like the Overlord in here with the Overseers. He's just like, yeah, you're going to have a little bit
Have to take a little bit more time to kill those.
Yeah, well, Nate, right now there are 75 probes and 5 Phoenix on the map, so with 4 DTs warped in, I'm not sure that's enough to save him.
I'm not entirely sure that it is either, but
I'm having some doubts about the chances.
Be damned, he's gonna. Damn sure he's gonna try. Ah! Okay, so make sure you kill the Nexus.
Oh, all right. Reynor going up in a really, really massive amount of supply at this point. A couple more Archons being made, but even the Mutt-Mutts are actually getting quite annoying because that means that the Phoenix are not around to make sure there's no Overseers of the rest of this army, make sure no DTs, just hold the line. And we're going to start to see the beginning of the end here. Reynor is rearing and ready to go into the grand finals. Face off versus Cyril once again, 3-2.
Reynor does it. And so it came to pass that the two greatest non-Korean StarCraft players at the moment must face off in a battle to the death at the grand finals of WCS Challenger Europe Edition.
See if you can do what a laser could not at GSL versus the world, and see if Cyril is looking a little more immortal.
Cyril is pretty good at the video game. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for our second semifinal. We are going to pull up the schedule for all of you to take one final look at our European...
I see one match that doesn't have a score next to it, Nate.
Yes, I believe that is the grand final. Coming up after this break, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be bringing you a delectable Zerg versus Zerg in the form of Cyril versus Reynor. This is the WCS. We'll see you on the other side.